Welcome to Mindset and Money Mastery for Photographers, the podcast. We help overwhelmed photographers make more money while simplifying their business by mastering their, you guessed it, mindset and money. Tune in each week for practical and actionable tips to take your photography business up a notch. Let's dive right in. Hey guys, today I am so excited to have Bethany joining me on the podcast. Bethany is one of my coaching clients. I think we met from the Equine Photography Summit. Is that correct? Whenever I hosted that?
It was, you were giving a 3-day, I think it was 5-day training. And I just tuned in. I've been following you for a while, and I loved what you were doing with your business model and the work that you were creating. And so you had like this free like mastermind. Joined, and it was just like, oh my gosh, this stuff is so good. So
amazing. I love that. Well, welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about you and who you are and what you do?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me on here. I feel like it's such an honor to be one of your people that you interview because like I said, have been following you for a while. And so it's so cool to be on here. So I am a boudoir and equine photographer from Indianapolis, Indiana. I help women feel more confident in their own skin through my portrait services. So I'll offer hair and makeup as an add-on to their type of session. Yeah, right now I'm just mostly booked with equine stuff for the summer and I'm working on a heart horse, sort of like a 40/40 campaign for women and the horses that they love the most.
I love that. That's amazing. Well, I am super excited to have you here because I know you have a wealth of knowledge yourself before you even came into my program. I know that you were killing it in so many ways in your business. I feel like you were at a place of pivoting whenever we met. Do you want to tell them about that pivot or what was kind of prompting that urge to pivot in your business?
Yeah, holy moly. We got to go back to like 2022. I had a black and white specific boudoir studio downtown Indianapolis. I was shooting only studio work there, and I did a similar campaign where it was a 40/40. It's called Fearless. 40 women share their tales of courage over I think I did it over 30. 40 women over 30 share their tales of courage is what it is. And we're doing round 2 now. So where I was when I first started that, it was kind of like we're still in COVID, like coming out of it. I'm like, should I do this or not? And then I just went through with it. I shot so much that I literally burned myself out. I was also teaching, and I did teaching other photographers how to build their businesses, also running a podcast. And then all of a sudden my mom got really, really sick. And this was like the boiling point where I was starting to feel really, really burned out at my business. And it's not that like, it was just like I was shooting a lot. And there were issues in my systems, in my client systems that I felt like needed tweaked. But at that point, it was kind of like, I'm burning my biscuits. I kind of need a break for a while after the gala that, I want to be able to like back up what I am telling my clients, what kind of experience that they're getting. And we did it, and it was amazing. And then I took a year off and I did something else, like made candles and soap. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to explore this for a little while. I did like the vendor thing of like going to not flea markets, but farmers markets on Saturdays. And then I was just like, you know what? I really miss photography. I wonder, what if I go like, I don't know. I needed something creative to fill my time to be able to go back to that and to see the value and like appreciate how much I really love the process of photographing women specifically. But I was also like trying to build an equine portfolio too. And that was around the time my mom was sick. And so I built this great portfolio because I always like to test things out first. And then I was just like, I need like a year off. I'm done with this for a second. I have to put this down and also be there for her. So then when we chatted, I was just coming back to I knew I wanted to come back to my photography career because I've spent so much time and I've been in the industry now for 11 years. I've been shooting since I was 12 years old. And it's just like, it's a part of my identity. But at the same time, it's not like, it doesn't have to be all of what I do. So there was a lot of like exploration. There was a lot of things that I wanted to do differently so that I don't end up in the same situation again where I found myself in November of 2023. So when I found you, it was like, oh, this will be just to kind of get back into things because there's going to be a group of people in there during these live Q&As that for the next 5 days. And it can give me more of a fresh perspective from what I'm used to doing and maybe help me break some of the habits that I think I'm using like air quotes for those who are listening that I think I have to do or expectations that I put on myself, but it's really like not a big deal. So that's where I was. I think when we did our consultation call, I was like, this is where I am. I would like to do more equine sessions, but it feels like a big mountain right now. I still want to shoot boudoir, but I don't want it to be like this overwhelming task to have people come in because I was doing Facebook ads to bring people in, and sometimes you get really interesting people with those ads. And so I really needed someone to kind of guide me in the direction that was like, okay, this is what I'm doing, but if this doesn't work for you, take it and make it your own and see how it works. Because I was so stuck on like a rigid system in my own mind that it was like, even on the podcast, it was like, you have to do X, Y, and Z, or else you can't be a professional photographer. And it's just like, no, they needed to hear that because you do need a little bit of hustle in this business to be able to survive. But at the same time, it was like, yeah, but you can also do it like this. And maybe like implement some of these other little things to kind of help prepare your clients for the experience that they're going to be working how they're going to show up in the experience that you're offering to them.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. That's so important. So I have a really big question to ask you then.
Yeah.
How do you think that the people listening to this can avoid getting in that burnt out position that you got yourself in at the end of your passion project that you did?
I would say boundaries. Boundaries are your best friend.
Okay.
Having a specific amount of shoots that you want to do every week or however many a month that you want to do and stick to that. I can also see myself sometimes slipping where I'm like, I could just fit this one last phone consultation on Tuesday in. I know it's after hours, but like I can fit it in. I'm not that busy. And then I'm like, I really wish I didn't do that because I could be like having dinner with my husband or like hanging out with my dogs, being at the barn. So I have to like you really have to watch yourself when people are coming in hot with inquiries too, because it's easy to say yes to everything. But then on the day of the shoot day, you're like, oh my gosh, what did I say yes to again? What's happening? Oh God. So it's really use your discernment.
Yeah. I feel like so many people do these like projects like 40 over 40 or something like that. Or they do like a dog. A lot of my listeners do the dog projects and they get to the end of it and they get so burnt out. And I've always kind of wondered like, where does this burnout come from projects? And like how photographers can navigate these projects better without getting burnt out. Because I've done a project, I did a 365-day project, 365 horses in 1 year. So I get it. I've been in your shoes. I didn't get burnt out from it though. But I think maybe it's because I had really clear expectations on what I was doing. I set it up in a smart way where I wasn't actually photographing a horse every single day, set it up where I started a few months prior. So that way I already had a good content plan built up before we started. And I was super strategic in the way I managed it and managed expectations with clients. And also, I was really good at that point when I did my project at making money from those project clients. So
Mhm.
even though I did have some no sales and some low sales, and even though my pricing was way lower back then than it is now, I still was paid well for my time and I really loved it. But I think I see frustration coming through from no boundaries within it,
Yeah.
being like so much more than it has to be. Like I always say, you can do a project, but you don't have to do a book. You don't have to do a big gala. Like you don't have to do all those extra things. You can if you want to as a surprise on the end. But like if you go into a project and you promise all of these extras and you get to the end and you're like, I am so tired and now I have another thing to do. I feel like that tends to be the icing on the cake on top of I dealt with some crazy people that did not pay me very much money, and it sucked.
I had some of those, like, because I did charge for Fearless, I still do, because it's like you're paying you have to pay for, like, the party at the
Yeah.
end, and hair and makeup and everything else. But it was like, yeah, there were some people, like, right on the back end, like, during the sales sessions that were like, "I don't understand, what? Like, I'm not getting all my photos?" And it was like, "Well, we had this conversation, I don't know what happened." But it was like people like that, like 7 in a row. And
Mhm.
it was like, "This is
Mhm.
wild. I need a break because I need to figure out what's going on." But there
Yeah.
was a lot of, not a lot of boundaries, and I didn't set out in the beginning and structure it the way that I would have liked to, and I feel like when you just said that, it was like, "Oh, yeah," because when I first started, I was like, "Well, let's just see if this works. If people like it, then we're gonna do it," and we just did it. It was just like flying by the seat of our pants the entire time.
Yeah. Okay, so you said something there about you had like 7 people in a row that didn't know what to expect.
Well, they knew what to expect as far as, like, they're getting hair and makeup, the photo shoot, but they just didn't understand, like, a print credit that I was doing at the end, and, they thought they were getting all the photos when they weren't.
So, now looking back on that, because I think that's a fear that a lot of people have is that that's gonna happen to them. And I think it has to happen to all of us a number of times for us to learn our lesson and to figure out how to not let it happen. I'm curious, looking back on that now, do you feel like you have the safeguards in place to avoid that in the future?
Yes, I do, and I am more engaged with my people, so we'll do,
Mhm.
like, a phone consultation and the planning session, which is why you're like, "Oh, yeah, this is really important," because you're also subliminally kinda selling to them at the same time, even because they need to see, like, this is how big we can take this shoot. And that because 'cause they're just like, "Oh, yeah, just digitals, please." And it's like, "No, no, no. We can do, like, a gallery wall. We can do, like, the hidden the hidden image behind your husband's closet, and he has to part his clothes." I did borrow that from you. But, you can do a folio box and an album, and then this is where that starts. And, like, they can see it, and it's easier for them to be like, "Okay, so this is, like, where your print credit goes towards."
Yeah.
And anything, whatever you buy in print, you get the matching digital file. And then that's when it's like, "Okay, we're doing good now." Like, we're starting to understand, like, everyone's understanding. Even if it's been a while since their initial planning session, I still like to kind of follow up with them and, talk about product, what they want to do with their photos still, because there might be some time in between then.
Yeah. So, what would you say some of the biggest changes are from your old system versus your new system after you've worked with me, you've gone through the program? Like, how does your business look different now?
Yeah. I kind of broke up with Facebook ads,
I
which
love that.
that was really hard for me to let go because I relied very heavily on them. But
Uh-huh.
because I was doing Facebook ads, I also wasn't paying attention to, like, my blog and, like, all of the other facets that you need to do to kind of like not put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak. You need to
Yeah.
have different areas. I didn't think I could, like, book people organically. And that's basically, well, that's all that I've been doing for the past 6 months,
That's amazing.
February. And it's just been, like, blogging, sending people to my blog, blogging stories from, like, fearless sessions from, like, 2023, and, also, like, my heart horse sessions that I did back in fall. It's still an ongoing project, but it's like, create the blog post and then you do all the SEO stuff and your photos are in there. And it's like, once it's posted, something I didn't do before when I would blog every now and again would be sharing that with the person who you wrote the blog post about, because then you're also reaching other people that are just outside of your network that are in theirs. And so that was one thing. The planning sessions have been extremely helpful by just adding, like, an extra, like, 30 minutes to a FaceTime with your client just
Mhm.
to kind of address their concerns. And I used to have people, like, when they start, we have the phone consultation, they want to book, and then we plan their planning session. And then started the planning session, I'm like, "Hey, how are you feeling about this shoot?" My boudoir clients are like, "Honestly, I'm nervous." Okay, that's great. Everyone's nervous, but, like, let's dig a little bit deeper here and kind of address, like, what are we nervous about? Is it the unknown piece? Here's what the studio looks like. This is what these, the print products look like. What do you have in mind for this, this, and this? And then by the end of that call, they're like, "Oh." like they feel a little bit more empowered instead of nervous because now they have seen me because we'll do a virtual call like
Mhm.
this. And they know I'm not like a weirdo. They see that I care about their well-being, and sometimes it just takes people a little bit of extra time to kind of like come around to that. Like
Yeah.
you do have a phone call with them, but at the same time, it's like they need to see you. It's just I don't know. Like people are gonna remember how you made them feel. That's a quote that I picked up over the years. Over like remembering your name or remembering like what it is you do. It's just how you make them feel.
Yep.
And so just being mindful of like how much attention I am giving each client is something I picked up. Also, how to sell wall art on the front end and like put little like plant the seeds of like sales, even though it's like it's not like you're being salesy, it's like an organic conversation.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like, well, let me tell you about this. And, like they're willing to hear about what it is that you are producing because they also want to see that work in print that you're showing them. Um, that's really cool. And I also like was doing back when I was doing the first round of Fearless, I was doing like same day reveal sessions. And that I feel like everyone needs to try that at least once to see just how it works. It works for a lot of people, but I have figured out that that was a huge contributor to my burnout because it's like, okay, I have to do a shoot, but then the reveal session after that, and I'm usually exhausted and I feel like a little bit more vulnerable if someone is like having like, well, I didn't see your prices or know that it was this much money. How could you charge someone this much money? And it's just like, oh my God, we were not on the same page at all. But now it's, at the virtual appointment, it's 2 weeks after their shoot and they see fully retouched images and everyone is like up to speed on because I did away with my price list too. And that was something that was really interesting change because I was like, what do you mean you don't have a price list? Like, how do you, what? And then I started implementing those steps and it was like, oh wow, this does work. This is great because people will actually like anchor down to what they think they want. But then once you show them like this is like they have the money all of a sudden. And so it's interesting to me that visual piece that you provide for them, but also explaining to them that it's like, no, this is kind of like I want you to figure out what it is that you want and then I can give you pricing as we go. But this is where these prices start. And paint the picture for them. That was huge too, because then they get a mental visual uh of like what where everything starts, but also like you're following up with that planning session and showing them and like, oh yeah, these are those prices again. This is what get you get with that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool like psychology involved in that
Yeah.
that I haven't really used before, but it's also very authentic and not like salesy or anything.
Yeah, I love that. So, kind of knowing what I know, you were doing all of the right things in your business, right? You went through and made a lot of tiny shifts
Yeah.
along the way, right? Nothing, I don't think anything you did really changed 180 degrees. It was just little stuff. And I always say, like, that's the most frustrating part of business because you're like, I'm doing the thing, I'm doing it good, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but something still isn't clicking quite right. So
Mhm.
then you have to go through and be the detective and say, like, what little things can I find and how do I adjust them? How do I tweak them in a way that feels good for me? And then put them into my business. And it was funny because I was talking to Corey the other day on the podcast, and she goes, you would say something like that was so little and so minuscule. And I'd be like, that's not going to matter. And I would push back on it so hard, like doing that one little thing in a different order is not going to make a difference, Corinna. That's so stupid. I'm already doing it. I just flip those two things. And she goes, and then I would flip the two things and go, holy crap, that made all the difference. Why was I so stubborn? And then I realized I just needed to try the tiny little things that seemed so insignificant because sometimes those little insignificant pieces really mattered.
A huge impact. Huge.
Yeah.
I had a lot of pushback about doing the planning sessions because I was like, "Oh my god, that's another day I have to show up in front of people and, I don't wanna do it." And now it's fun for me and I can just hammer out a bunch of them in a row.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just little tiny changes, and it wasn't, I mean, it made a huge impact for sure. I totally agree with her.
Yeah. So you said something earlier, which was like, I was doing what everyone said I'm supposed to do.
Mhm.
And you had to like give yourself permission to like let go of those things to some extent, right? So talk more about that because I think that a lot of times photographers feel this like pressure to do what everyone else is doing or do exactly what someone tells you to do because it works for what someone else is doing because it works for them.
Yeah. So I like when I first started taking on photography as a career, I found, and I don't want to name any names because I still like really love this
Yeah.
photographer and I think she has a lot of valuable information and she changed my life when it came to what's possible
Yeah.
for your career as a photographer. You can have a career as a photographer, right? So I followed then this was like the only person that I found at the time that was actually like, oh, you're really doing that. Oh my God, you're really doing this. Wow. Okay. But it was like, here's the process. Da 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 da. Make sure you have hair and makeup. And so hair and makeup in my freaking brain was like, no one's going to want to do a shoot. How am I going to stand out from everyone else if I don't offer hair and makeup? And I came from the hair and makeup world prior to my photography career. And so it was like, oh, yeah, I have those contacts, no big deal. But then it was like, this is like really eating into my costs. And like, okay, yeah, why don't I just make this optional? So that was something I let go of and dealt with. But it's like, if you want that, here it is, but it's this much money, right? If you don't want that and you want to seek it on your own, it's X amount of dollars. And this is like, would you like to book? So that was something an old system I had to let go and an old belief I had to let go of. Also, like not like I felt like I kept my clients at like arm's distance, and that's really hard with boudoir because I mean you're seeing naked people, you're seeing them naked, you know. So it was like, how can you be like, I love a boundary, but a lot of my people that I have as clients like want to be friends with me at the end of it. And those people I've kept around, and that's fine. Like, I love that. I love that they trust me enough to where they're like telling me about, like, I actually just had a client last year. And this was like what brought me also back into photography. She was like, hey, me and my husband go to Gulf Shores every year, and I want you to photograph us on the beach. Not in a boudoir way, just like it was their anniversary. And she was like, you can stay with us, bring your husband, like, stay as long as you want. And it was like, are you serious? Okay. All right. Yeah, let's do it. And it was so much fun. And it just like diving in a little bit deeper with, I'm not saying like you should go on vacation with your clients, but it has evolved
Yeah.
from her knowing that like she didn't even know if she wanted to come into her boudoir session because she was so nervous. But if I did like a planning session with her, she probably would have felt a lot more comfortable coming in. But she almost didn't do her boudoir session. And that had like that one session has led, I've worked with her 5 times since then. And when I like did the Gulf Shores thing, and then she like had her daughter come in and do the session too. And she's just such a cool person to have in my life too, and very encouraging and very sweet. And um, it's it's wild how things kind of happen just from one shoot or just from meeting one person.
Yeah.
So that was something like reaching, like being more, I'm not saying like text them every day, hey girl, blah, 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 and like build an inauthentic relationship. But like if they want to reach out to you and like talk to you and like
Right.
I give people like my phone number so they can text me, but these are my texting hours. Here they are, because then they have that sense of intimacy with you, and maybe they are building it into a friendship or what, and just a client relationship, and that's fine. But
Right.
also having like making sure people know what the expectations are when it comes to my boundaries and when they can expect to hear back from me, either from email or texting. I can keep going on and on about.
I love it. I think what's so cool is like it sounds like you maybe before your business was more transactional in the beginning, but as you went deeper into the business, it became more relational. And so now you have that relational piece from the get go. And the whole thing feels like a relationship and a bond and and I think this is so important too that you said this because some people are so afraid of selling because they feel like, oh, this is just a sales pitch or this is just twisting someone's arm. Whenever it's really just getting to know somebody, like actually knowing their needs and their desires and who they are as a person, and then serving them in a way that they need to be served and delivering an end result that, even when you are gone and their session is done, that relationship and that journey that they went on and that story that you learned from them and their path in their life is put into something that's on their wall that
Mhm.
will forever live with them and give them that feeling and that emotion of that transformation and that journey. And it's like, not like, yes, we're making money by selling art, but like, I know that I can't sleep at night knowing that I missed an opportunity to do that for someone.
Mhm.
That's what I have nightmares about. I have nightmares about, like, I know the value in that portrait going on the wall, and I know what that means. I know what the portrait of my horse on the wall means. I know what the portrait of my family and our boxer that passed away means. Like, I can't talk about it because I walk past it and it makes me want to tear up, but it's like the one thing that Paisley's always in our house, right?
Yeah.
And I know the power in it, right? And it's like, yes, this is about being in business, but it's also about being a person and serving people and taking care of them. So
Absolutely.
I love that you brought that up. Okay, so how have your sales changed since going on this journey and making these changes in your business?
They're higher because, well, I did one shoot and then I was able to take a month off. And I haven't done that in a while where it was like, okay, good. That's enough for me to like chill for a second and then just like do bookings for the rest of the summer and then be good until then. I've had people, because I've showed them like whatever like the products look like and everything, they actually, this is really funny. I meant to tell you this. So for my horse stuff, I like will post in a Facebook group of like, hey, I'm doing these kind of sessions. Like, here's the link to the landing page, whatever. If you're interested, you have to apply.
Mhm.
All the information's on there. And she was familiar with some of the others, like some of the stuff that I've done, horse wise and boudoir. And during this phone consultation, she's like, how much is it for this like portfolio box? Because that's something that I'm interested in. And I was like, "Oh, cool. Like we're already cutting to the chase and it's just like the phone consultation." And she's like, "Well, actually, can we do like a prepayment situation because this is before my shoot because I just want to be able to have this because I lost a horse right before I was supposed to do a photo shoot and I waited too long and then like I want to make sure I can avoid that from happening again." And that was something that was like, "Oh, well, yeah." And I just kind of like, okay, how many images are you thinking you want? Okay, and just keep in mind you can do this and this in case you want to upgrade. But it was just that, like, yeah, well, yes, you can do that. That I've never like put forth before, but that's like some extra money every month in my pocket.
Yeah.
But also, she's going to get like an amazing folio box full of her favorite images of her and her horse. What else? I love creating gallery walls for my people as like a sneak peek.
Mhm.
And that has like, even though if they don't get that exact gallery wall or the sizing or whatever, they're already thinking about wall art even before the shoot. And I feel like that is something that helps kind of like push a little bit more. Not, I don't want to say push because there's no pushing, it's just
Yeah.
information, right? So it plants the seeds for them to be comfortable with the idea of doing wall art.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think what else because it's just been so like, oh, okay, you want to do that? Yep, that's fine. Let's do it. And I'm just now getting into my photographing for horses season
Yeah.
because it's hot outside, summer. So I'm really excited to see how this summer will all unfold with the process that I've been doing.
Yeah, I love that. So, is there like one big thing that has stood out to you amongst everything else that you're like, there's this one thing I have learned over the last year, and I just wish everyone knew this one thing because this one thing could change everything for you?
Boundaries.
Boundaries.
Boundaries. You have to, it's like you're loving yourself while you can love other people. But it doesn't have to be as rigid as what you think. It's just something, and that can go as far as like, these are the days I shoot. These are the days I do phone consultations between this time and this time. These are the times I do my reveal and ordering appointments between this time and this time. Any other time, if they want to, like I started doing 3 shoots a month. Now I have 9 for next month just to give you an idea of how I'm working with my boundaries. Because I'm like, no, 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 dial it back because I am just like so hungry to shoot again.
But
Um,
also
yeah,
organic leads,
yeah,
not Facebook ads. Like,
yeah,
that's amazing and crazy
yeah.
in a new genre. Like, with your new genre, you're getting these organic leads, which I think is so cool, and kudos to you because you've put yourself out there the way you need to, and you've shown up for your business the way you need to.
Thank you. It's I'm still just like in awe of that too. Not to be like, oh my God, I'm so awesome. But like, you know what I mean? Like where I was a year ago was not what this mental state was. I was not here mentally. It's an on and also just like being patient with the process. Not you don't have to book 5 shoots or book out the rest of your year all in one day or all in one week, like being patient with the process and knowing that there's a time and a place for every single part of that process instead of it being like this quick fiery thing, like let's just get I just want to get to the ordering appointment and I just want to book this many people, and it's just like calm down. What do you have control of?
Yeah.
The end.
Very true. Okay, so let's talk about this marketing thing for a second,
Mhm.
because I think a lot of people are going to hear that you used to use Facebook ads heavily, and they're going to be like, Facebook ads, tell me all about Facebook ads.
Oh my God, they're
But what I want to know is like, what do you think your secret has been to getting these clients through your door? Like, is it the diversification in your marketing? Is it solely the blogging? Because I know you mentioned blogging, or is there a diversification here that has happened that maybe you didn't have before?
I think it's connections. It could be because I haven't done Facebook ads since February and it's like the end of May right now. And by now I would have ran maybe 3 Facebook ads for a specific genre. And so because I was like, you know what? Path of least resistance here. Like I'm trying to save for a studio shed in my backyard. So like, what can I do that I know what like works, but also like we can experiment with this. And this is something that I just did with these like mini sessions that I'm doing too, because it's like you can either spend your money, and if I'm going too far out in the weeds, like pull me back because
Right.
it's just like, "Ugh." um, I am doing blogging. I picked up blogging again in March to answer your question, and I have been consistently doing it every week. Well, posting every week. I schedule it out, and then it's like, okay, what are 3 pieces of content that you can create for Instagram and Facebook around these, like these blog posts?
Yeah.
And I just create 3 pieces of content. They're usually just carousels. I'll do like 2 carousels and maybe a reel if I feel like it. And then if I am doing a promotion, like for the mini sessions for my boudoir, I mean, mostly Instagram is kind of, it's a little bit of both for equine. And I'm building my equine over there. I feel like people in Facebook land know me. I get more traffic from Facebook regardless,
Yeah.
but they are paying attention more in Facebook for some reason. Even though I post to both
Uh-huh.
because I use Later, which is like a social media planning interface, and you can like plan out your entire month. You could do probably your entire year that way. Um, and I have a lot of, you and I talked about this during a one on one where it was like, what kind of content do I need to get when I'm doing a shoot, because you get caught up in the heat of a shoot and it's like, oh, I forgot that behind the scenes video. I forgot to do this and this and this. But now I'm going into it like, okay, I need to do at least one video. I need to like behind the scenes. I want to do one with my camera, which new camera is having some glitches around that, but it's fine. We got the iPhone, it's fine. And it keeps like people who attend those shoots a little like it keeps them busy. And I've just been creating like being more mindful and like how that's going to process during when I market that blog post. So I just spend a lot of time on blogging, honestly, and then for boudoir and equine, because I'll do it in an order that's like I'll have like a boudoir post one week, the next week it'll be equine specific. The following week, I've been doing these like equine professional business features on my blog. So if
Yeah.
people are, this was something that's really cool that I just started. I just finished the first blog post, but I sent her the photos from our session. She's a saddle fitter,
Mhm.
and I did a shoot with her, like just doing her thing on her own horse, and then I did a couple of headshots with her, and then I came back home. I edited everything. I just sent her the entire gallery because it was like, you know what, this woman is like in demand in my area, and I want her to have a really good experience, so I'm okay. The time and energy I put that I could have put towards Facebook ads to get a session, I'd rather just do a complimentary session and then, like, bring her stuff to my platform,
Yeah.
give her her photos, and so she can keep talk because she travels around to different, like, clinics and everything. And so she's going to be like talking about me to other people, and she
Yeah.
can use those photos on her website. And then once that blog post publishes, then it's like, here's the link to it. Here you go. But then also on the back end, SEO is working for people that are Googling
Mhm.
everything like saddle fitting. And
Yeah.
so it's like multiple things that are working for me in that regard. But I feel like I've gotten the most like horse inquiries just by it's all been organic. I've
I love
tried
that.
doing Facebook ads for it like last year, and it just didn't work for some reason
Yeah.
because I feel like we talked about this too. They need to know, like, and trust you.
Yeah.
So it's like also I enjoy going to horse shows. I'm a horsey person too. So it's been more fun to network in that regard for me than just like showing up to a networking event and like, I'm a boudoir photographer. Hey. And like everyone's afraid of you because they're like, you're not going to photograph me naked. Well, but I feel like that has been extreme. Like the blogging in and of itself has been extremely helpful. But like also, I got like 3 inquiries yesterday and I'm not really like for horse things, and I'm not like pushing anything right now, so I thought that was really cool. And just asking them like, how did you hear about me? It's like, oh, I did that shoot with that person last year and I was building my portfolio. And they can build, it's just really cool how much reach you can get. And
Yeah.
it's starting to be like more of like a word of mouth thing, which is where I wanted to take my business in the first place.
Right. I love that. Yeah. Blogging is a really big part of my business. Probably, I don't even want to think. We probably publish somewhere around 200 blogs a year. Sometimes it's insanity, but blogging has always been really valuable for me too. And I always have like some pushback from people like, blogging isn't really in, or like people don't really blog anymore. But honestly, like I've had some coaching clients that have been like, okay, fine, I'll blog. And then they start blogging and they're like, oh, this works.
And I can repurpose the content for my social media. Great. And it never expires. So it like,
Yeah.
you can always like, oh yeah, I'm going to go create pens around this blog post I made last year.
Yeah.
Really cool. It's just like this really nice little archive that talks about you and your business and like other people in their business and their boudoir shoe. And
Yeah.
it's just cool also because I feel really, I have to thank you a lot because I've seen, because you were like, you know what, boudoir and horses, why aren't you doing this? And I was like, I'm trying to keep them separate. I don't know. I don't like, but then you were like, you need to explore that. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, because you're always right, okay? And so I explore it and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is such a beautiful genre because it doesn't have to be weird, creepy, or anything. It's just like just women being women and with their horses, and it's just so free and it's beautiful work." And so I see my work going more into that direction instead of just like poses with like, "Here's me and my $10,000 horse. Thank you so much." Ears are forward, great. But I kind of want to like break the like this is how like I interact with like a lot of my clients don't really show. They're like, this is my horse that like I just wanted for me because this is my dream horse. And so I'm very lax when it comes to like posing the horse because I feel like there are things that we do like as humans with horses that pressure we put on ourselves to be like super posy and everything in photographs, but also we put those pressures on horses too. And so it's like, okay, maybe the ears don't have to be forward because we want some interaction. And that's how you can also look at their emotions by their ears and like they're standing this certain way. We just want to make sure that you're okay and that you're healthy and that you're not lame. Like, but stand in this way. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Take a picture. And it just make it more about the relationship than like a fancy new shiny car.
And I appreciate, and I like, yes, I remember I was like, I just don't, I would think about this and I'd be like, why isn't she doing this? And then finally I was like, have I not said this or have I not said it strongly enough? And finally I think I was just like, I just want you to try it. Just do it for me because I can see it in my head. Because I think like there is always this urge to do what everyone else is doing. in business and the way we're shooting and our style. And I'm always like, if you can create something that is so different from what everyone else is doing and stand out in that way, you're going to attract people in such a different manner, which is
Yeah.
when the magic happens because people are like, what is this she's doing? I've never seen anything like this. I thought she was a boudoir photographer. Wait, she does horses? Hold on.
Yeah.
There's these pictures that have the same vibe as her boudoir work, but they're with horses. This is cool. And I'm just waiting because I'm just calling it right now that you're going to start getting inquiries from women who don't own a horse and they want those portraits with a horse. So you're going to have to buy yourself another horse that's the perfect model.
Oh, yeah.
Use
I need
for these inquiries you get.
first, and then I can have like, oh, you want to rent out my other horse? It'll be to add on a horse, it's X amount of dollars because he doesn't know you, and we need to make sure he's like trained to be a model.
Yeah, there you go. Have a trick horse that like lays down next, do
Yeah,
something
I'm
cool like
really into
that.
Liberty right now, so I'm going to a clinic in 2 weeks.
I love
We
that.
just add that. It's just gonna keep going, and like we're just gonna see how far we can take
It's
it.
gonna be and one I think the cool thing is, like, no one else is really doing it, right? And
That
it's like, if you become known for this thing that no one else is really doing, and you have this style that's so organic and soft and, like, feminine, and people from all over the country see this, they're gonna be like, "Can you come do this where I'm at?" Or like, "Oh my gosh, I need this with my horse." And I think something really important you said during the whole marketing thing was it's relational. You are now just showing up as a person in your business and building relationships, not even in your business, but just as a person in life. Everywhere you go, with every interaction, you're just building connections with people. And then
Mhm.
you're saying, like, hey, by the way, I do this. We should do something together, right? It doesn't feel weird or salesy. It just feels like you showing up as a person. And I think that skill is the hardest skill to teach people because the number one thing I hear from people is, I can't book clients.
Yeah.
And I say, like, how are you putting yourself out there? And normally what they say is, I'm posting on social media. But the thing is that everyone posts on social media. Social media is like a tornado in people's brains when they look at it. Like it doesn't even, it just, it's so hard to catch their attention, right? But real, genuine human connections in today's day and age are what people long for. So,
Mhm.
like, if you can make genuine connections with people the center of your business in your marketing as well, I think that's when you will see the biggest returns on your marketing effort. But teaching somebody to do that is hard. I mean,
Well, I think it's a personality too. Like I identify as an introvert, but if you talk to my introverted cousin, she's like, "No, no, no. You're more like an extrovert." Because I can talk and talk and talk when it's just like one-on-one. If I'm in a room, I'm like, "Listen, I have to talk to people. I will try to do anything to get out of it." And not intentionally. It's just if I'm speaking to people. But if it's like one-on-one like this is, it's fine. I'm fine.
yeah.
But it's also, like, finding those people that, like, I just kinda like, I'm at this phase now in my life where I just, like, don't care if I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that person's gonna think I'm so weird for just starting a conversation with them." But it's like, if we're in this, like, same sort of experience where we're like, I went to a horse show a couple weeks ago, and there was this girl I went there to watch my trainer because I am getting into barrel racing. We'll see how that goes at 40. Pray for me. Anyway, but we were watching like the everyone in the warm up arena, and it was just like, oh my gosh, that pony is so cute. Did you see him? And like, I know her, and she's like, oh my gosh, that's so and so. I know who they are. That pony is adorable. And then she's like, well, how do you like? I saw you hanging out with Casey. How do you know her? Oh, I'm one of her lesson kids. And then like it's funny. Like I don't know. I just am like you have to be comfortable talking to people and be comfortable like just having like random conversations. I remember I used to be like embarrassed when I would go to like the grocery store with my mom because she's the same way where she just like she can build connections really easily. And it's just like, "Oh my God," she's like, you should go say hi to that boy that you used to hang out with and now he's bagging groceries. And I'm no, I'm not gonna go say hi to him, mom. Why would I do that? That's so embarrassing. But now I'm just like, I will talk to anybody. It's a skill set that you have to build on your own, but it doesn't come overnight and
Yeah.
you have to be ready for it.
Yeah.
when the time is right. But right now I'm like, you either do this or you got to go back to like a networking meeting and I will not do that.
It I used to do those when I shot weddings. I would go to, like, the wedding vendor networking events, and you'd all sit at a table, and then you'd have to introduce to the people, and then you'd have to stand up and introduce yourself in 60 seconds, and it was like, I would sit in my truck and, like, try to convince myself not to go in, and my husband would be like, "Corinda, you drove an hour to go to this meeting. Get your butt out of the truck and go in."
Just go to like the Culvers right here. It's fine. And then come home. Like I
Yeah,
won't.
right. So, I think that's really interesting what you said because I think a lot of photographers are introverts. I am an introvert. Put me in a one-on-one situation, I'm good. Put me in a room full of 100 people, and I'm like,
Mm-mm.
"Who do I talk to? Everyone looks scary."
Everyone's scary. Yeah.
But, like, you just have to sometimes learn the tools and the skill set to deal with it. I think
Mhm.
there's a way to learn everything. Like, you can learn human interaction, you can learn how to start conversations, you can learn all of these skills, but you have to decide, like, "Hey, I want to learn how to do this thing." And then you have to be willing to do the scary thing, which is put yourself in social situations, which means you cannot sit behind your computer all day long and say, I'm marketing. No, you have to like get your butt out of your house and put yourself in situations where you're going to meet the right people. So if your clients are going to Pilates and that's where they go in their spare time, then get your butt in a Pilates class and go meet everybody. And you go to a different class time every week so you can meet all the people. Or like if your clients hang out at the coffee shop, go sit and work at the coffee shop and strike up a conversation with a stranger behind you. Like, those are things that work in today's day and age above spending $100 on a Facebook ad to get one lead and then the is crazy, right? Yes.
But also, like, just to add to that, like, if you don't know what to say to people, where here's the thing too is I had to investigate where my people were,
Mm.
but also like figure out like, I just got back into writing. My gosh, it's been 3 months. Oh, it's 3 years now. But it was like, I know I want to work with horse people. Where can I go to talk to people where it feels more natural instead of me being like, hey, so you wanna do a boudoir shoot? No, we're gonna just photograph horses for a little bit and explore this world. And it's a world that I like to get into too. So it's easier for me, like when you're on a phone call or if you're like in person with people, tell me about your horse. What do you ride? Like, I want to hear all about it. Have you always been into horses? And asking those like engaging conversations that
Mm.
aren't like a yes and or no response. And people love talking about their animals and I mean, I know I do. Like,
For sure. It's a real thing. It's like having conversations with friends and just
yeah.
acting like you just met your long lost friend and you're like, "Wait, where have you been my whole life?" And I hate fake people. So I'll be honest. I really hate fake people. Like my calling my mom. My mom is not a fake person. My mom is really genuine, but she will talk to any random person just like you were saying your mom does.
It's
And
like,
like
God,
my
get
f- my mom and my sister both, one of my sisters, they're huggers. So they like hug people they don't know. And I'm like, and they talk to them, and I'm like, that's horrific. I'm like, I'll hug somebody after I talk to them for an hour, but
yeah.
not when I first meet them. But like, that's just not who I am. And to me, that feels really disingenuine, even though, like, for my mom and sister, that's just who they are as people. They're genuine people, but they just are that person. So I will say, like, everyone has their own way, right? And regardless of how cringy this sounds to you of just talking to strangers, just try it. And my challenge would be to anyone listening to this next time you're on public, I want you to look at a random stranger and I want you to pay them a compliment. So look at them and be like, oh my gosh, I love that romper you're wearing. That is so cute. Where did you get that? Right? Nobody's going to be creeped out that you gave them a compliment. Oh my gosh, I love your earrings. They're so stunning. Your hair is the best color. Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with that. Like, say something kind to them. And I think I'm on the receiving end of this a lot because my crazy hair, people randomly talk to me all the time. And my husband's like, Corinda, did you hear that person? They just talked to you. And I'm like, oh no, I didn't even hear them because I'm like in La La Land. But like when people say things about my hair, I'm never like, oh, I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. That's so nice. Right. And then I'll have random conversations with people. So don't be afraid to pay someone a compliment, I think. Okay. So this has been a long episode. I have like one more kind of question I want to ask you. So for those of you listening, Bethany is in my master your mind and coach I can't talk today. Master Your Mind and Money coaching program, which is our higher ends coaching program. It's our elevated program with one-on-one support, with group component, with like so much course content that I lose track of how many hours it is every time I think about it because it's just a lot. So, Bethany, for anybody who's listening to this, do you want to kind of tell them what that journey was like for you? I know earlier before we started recording, you said the group coaching calls were like the best thing ever. So, kind of tell them what your experience was like in the coaching program.
So I was really interested in like diving deep into some of the content, but also I felt like I needed this, like, I don't feel like I knew I needed some kind of community to kind of like help me feel like, because I was in this spot where it was like, I'm coming back to my career, but are things still the same? Because they can change so frequently within the photo industry that it's like, I don't want to be dated. I don't want these like the systems I'm doing now don't feel authentic to me. Like I need a community of people and a mentor to help kind of guide me in the direction of like to like bounce ideas off of and to like, hey, I have this wild idea, what do you think about it? And yeah, and I went into that like trying to figure out systems that also can work for me that I knew weren't working, like the that was like Facebook ads, those sorts of things I
Yeah.
wasn't fully integrating into my business just yet. So there's like Q&A, like you go into the course, you can go work through the content if you want, and then you can talk about it during Q&A. But Q&As are, we dive deep because it's like, okay, like I have an idea of what I want to ask during this time, but okay, I know that this other person, like I also want to hear like what other people are working through, because it's like even if it's something that like I may already have a handle on, they're going to look at it from a different perspective and ask it differently. And then your feedback to the way that they're doing it is like, it just like builds on top of each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if this is working for them like this, well, what if I bring it in to like with what I'm doing and do it like this? And then it can be like, it'll look like this. And then so it's like, I have notes during the Q&As, but then it's like, I had to sleep on it first,
Uh-huh.
and then I come back, and then I'll, like, write down, like, what came during that time where my brain was digesting all that information, because there's, a lot of content that's really, really good in there, but the Q&As are, like, the icing on the cake.
I love that you said that. It's funny. Like people always say they love the Q&As, but I think you're the first person that's been like the Q&As are like the best thing ever. I love the way you said that. Okay, so how out of curiosity, because I always love to ask this question. I think there's over 60 hours worth of videos in the content. There's a ton. How much of the content did you actually get through? Do you feel like you got through almost all of it, or do you feel like you skipped around a little bit in the content?
I skipped around. I did do the wall art videos first because
Uh-huh.
that was something that was I really wanted to implement more of. I love selling wall art, but I felt like there was something in my process that I was missing.
Yeah.
And so that really helped like kind of fill those holes that I had when that was like a really huge takeaway. But also like, I mean, I feel like in any program you're just like everyone's just like, let's just see what the marketing is. Like let's just not look at anything else and just go straight to marketing. But I tried really hard to go through and like watch all of the stuff leading up to the marketing videos,
Yeah.
because it's like marketing is like the sexiest thing to
Right.
talk about. And it's like you can it's fine. Like we will work on that later. Focus on these steps. Make sure you're hitting these touch points. And then you can go, after you finish these, where it's like setting up your business, you can go buck wild in marketing and
Yeah.
see how it works. Because if you don't have that foundation set and you try to market, you're going to be burnt out because you skipped certain steps. And yeah, that's how I navigated it. And then I tried to make Q&As whenever I could because it was just like chef's kiss. It was so good.
I love that. So talk to me about your one-on-one calls.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of feel like the Q&As are like mini one-on-one calls with everyone on there together, like community one-on-one calls because we really dive into the topics. But what were your actual like one-on-one calls like for you?
So the Q&As were like, they were sparking and like making like inspiring to me. Of course, we can ask questions during Q&A, but like to really hone in and refine what it is that you get from those, like the collection of the Q&As and the course content. And it kind of helps you. I'm talking about you like you're not here, but she helps you kind of refine
Yeah.
your idea of like whatever it is that has come up from those conversations for you. And it's funny because I'm like, this is how I think I'm going to do it. And she's like, no, actually, if you do it like this, and this, I think it will work out great for you. And then you implement it, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's perfect. I love it. Okay. But like, this is a new structure that I'm doing within my business. This is great.
I love that. And I also feel like everyone's businesses are so different and everyone is so different. And that's something I try really hard to do is like, I want to know who you are, what you actually are doing, what you believe in. Because then when we're on those calls, like if you could ask me a question, Corey could ask me a question, and Austin could ask me the same question on a Q&A. And for each and every one of you, like my answer is going to be slightly different because you are not them, right? And so I think that's the really powerful part of all of it is like you have the knowledge, you come get the ideas in the group kind of portion on the Q&A, but you also have something that's customized for you and leaning towards what you do. And I think sometimes we're really good at missing something that's right in front of our face in our own business. And we need somebody that's around us enough and knows us enough that they're going to be like, what the heck are you doing? This is right here in front of you. And you're just like choosing to ignore that this is such a cool idea and it's dangling in front of your face. And I think that that's where some of the magical stuff happens inside the program is in those moments when you just need somebody to look at you and be like, hello, it's right here.
Learn horses.
Yeah, right? So yeah, I love that. So what would you say to somebody who's considering like joining a coaching program with me or getting the support they need in their business? Like what is your advice to them about how to like should I do it? Should I not do it? Is it going to be worth it? How do I know who the right person is? All of those fears that come up when you're thinking about getting help in your business.
Yeah, I feel like you need like when you're looking for that, you need to find the person that you're going to be meshed with because there's a bunch of and I am like I'm guilty of this too. It's really easy to constantly consume photography education. With that being said, everyone is going to be like they want you to speak to them, not speak to them, but you want to be able to like the person that you are learning from and I feel like that's really important to investigate that. But when you do find that person, whether it's Corinda, whether it's whoever else is out there, invest in it. Don't look back because that was your initial, like, that was your gut telling you, like, oh, yeah, like, this is like, and the thing is, too, is like, it's always like a price issue of like, because I saw this when I was teaching too, was like, well, can you make this less expensive? Can you do this, this, or this? And it's like, it shouldn't I feel like it's always worth it to spend more money on your coach that you really like and that you can connect with because you're going to be getting that back tenfold within your business. And it's going to be worth it in the end, even though it might feel like a big scary purchase. It's always worth it because you're learning something new that you didn't know before. And even if you did know something that you're and this goes for not just Corinda, but like any educator, you're going to learn let me back up a little bit because I learned this more with Corinda when it came to things that I already had a grasp on, but then I like reinvestigated them again because of these Q&As and working with Corinda.
Yeah.
You see things from a different perspective and how it can work for you. And it's so worth it to educate yourself on that and to educate yourself in your industry that you're interested in. And also if you don't know where to go, that's why you need to invest in a coach that's going to help you get there. And you might as well do a coach that you might as well work with a coach that has been there and is doing the thing, walking the walk, talking the talk that you want to take your business to.
Yeah. I
Period.
love that. I love that. Okay, here's a interesting question. What do you think is different? You've been in this industry for a long time. Okay. So, you said you've consumed a lot of courses.
Oh yeah.
What do you think is different about kind of the process you went through in my program versus things you've done in the past with other courses or programs or coaches in the past?
The connection piece, like you emphasize on that a lot. And that was probably the most important lesson that I learned is to dive in deeper with people.
Yeah. I love that. That's really powerful. And it's important. And like, I try really hard. Like, I try so hard to do that with my coaching clients. And I always say this to my coaching clients. And, the same thing applies to my portrait clients. I show up for you as much as you show up for yourself. And I try to like I try to echo that in my coaching business with y'all, but I also try to do that with my portrait clients. And sometimes it gets messy. Sometimes there are tears on coaching calls. Sometimes there's things that come up that are not pleasant. Sometimes I have to kick you in the butt and tell you to get over yourself on coaching calls. But like, I think we all need that. And I think we need that when we're trying to do something big and we're on a journey of something. Sometimes we just need someone in our corner. And I think the same thing lies with our portrait clients. Our portrait clients, doing the portrait session is scary. It's uncomfortable. And they need us in their corner to encourage them and support them and guide them. And I think it's just an important life thing to do in general, everywhere you go. It's just be supportive and encouraging and nice and kind and doing those things for people. So I love that you took that away from the program and that's something that really stood out for me. Did you have something you wanted to say? I could see it in your face.
You know, well, I just wanted to add on to it too that like no one's going to give a hoot nanny about this business more than you. And so it's time if you feel like this is like having a photography business where you're like consistently getting bookings, consistently generating an income from doing what you love, you have to be able to get to the point where you're leveling up and showing up for yourself because no one else is going to do it for you.
And even like, I think this is important, even someone who's been doing this for over 10 years, right? Like you're still growing, you're still learning, you're still looking for the next step or the next elevation or the next, like, how can I do this better or more efficiently? It's a never ending journey, right? But at the same time, there's a point when you learn to start trusting yourself more and you trust, like, I have the knowledge and I have the skill to continue to grow. And when I need the help and I need the support, I will know that I need the support. Whereas in the beginning, you're like a baby giraffe trying to walk that's like, where are my legs? I don't know what's happening.
I'm in auto. I can't.
Right? Like that's how it feels in the beginning. So I find that really interesting, just like seeing how many of my coaching clients in Master Your Mind and Money have been around the block, have done this for a while, who've taught other people. I have a couple people in my program right now that are educators and teach other people. And they just were like, hey, Corinda, I need help. Can you help me? And I'm like, yeah, let's do this because I get it. Like it's also lonely, right? It's lonely when you get to a certain level and you feel like, where do I go? I just need some support. So I think regardless of where you're at in your business, there's a place for help and there's a place for support. And I think just don't be afraid to ask for it when you need it. So.
Absolutely. And you need to recognize when you need help. That was my biggest issue too.
Don't wait till you're totally burnt out and quitting for a year.
Yeah. Learn from my mistakes.
I love that. Well, it has been so good chatting with you today, Bethany. If anyone wants to find you and follow you and see what you're up to, how can they find you online?
So you can go to bethanyquinn.com. I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Bethany Quinn Studios. And then I am starting up a new podcast in YouTube called This Photographer Life.
I love it. That'll be amazing. I cannot wait to follow along on that journey with you. Well, thanks for joining us. I hope you have an amazing week. And I know people are going to love what you had to share here. If you love something that Bethany said, or you resonated with this, send Bethany a message. Tell her thank you for being on the podcast. Tell her what you loved hearing from her. And also, if you have questions about this podcast, feel free to reach out to us as well. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to support the podcast, please make sure you share it on social media or leave a rating and review. As always, you can check out the links and resources in the show notes over at masteryourmindmoney.com. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at masteryourmindmoney. And don't forget to join our free Facebook group, Photography Business Tune-Up with Corinda K. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.